Hi everybody. So in this next video I am going to introduce you to Oberon the Elf. And so when I was learning to do this and I was talking to the archangels, I said, all right, if I can talk and hear and interact on different planes of existence with the archangels, what else and who else can I talk to? And it occurred to me, why don't I try an elf? So I tried an elf, and it was a very dramatic introduction, and so we got to. He actually has taught me quite a bit about how to interact on other planes of existence. Now, one thing that happens really interesting in this video, and I didn't realize this when I was taking the video. I realized it when I watched the video later on, and that is that at one point I'm explaining what I'm seeing, and I'm saying what Oberon is, what I'm hearing, and I'm saying that, and then at some point there's a switch, and suddenly I was in that other environment, and Oberon is talking to you through me, and as a result, a lot of the wonderful things I was experiencing, you don't get to see in the video. So what was an amazing impact on when I was recording it doesn't really get conveyed through the camera. So what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to show you the video as it is, and then I'm going to repeat the last few minutes of it, or maybe 5 minutes, and I'm going to narrate it. I'm going to go in and narrate, and I'm going to tell you what I was experiencing when that was happening, and I'm going to try to get it timed so that it's happening in sync with what Oberon is saying, so that you can try to get the same experience out of it. So anyways, without further delay, hi, I'm Joe Shepard, and this is the Fractal Realms. Hello, Oberon. He says, hello, welcome. I was wondering if you could give me a message that I could share with the world today. So we're sitting on a bench under trees. He approached me as a small animal and jumped up onto the bench, and this is a very park-like setting. There's bushes in front of me. We're sitting under trees, not a lot of light. There's a fence to the right, so it's some sort of park. And I asked him to give us a message, and the first thing he did is wave his hand, and the space in front of us disappeared. Right at the tips of my feet, there is a cliff, like thousands of feet high. There's water at the bottom. There's waves hitting the the rocks at the bottom. And as I look around me, most things in the environment that were there when I arrived aren't there anymore. Almost like I'm sitting on top of, like this bench that I'm sitting on. It's wrought iron, got wrought iron handles. It's got brown paint on wood slats. And it's almost as if we're sitting on top of a peak. Oberon's asking me, do I want to stay here? Is this where I want to be? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where we're going or what your message you're trying to give us or give me. And it's really quite amazing. He points out that it's shrinking. He steps off the bench and he's actually seems to be standing on pretty much nothing. And now the bench is gone and I'm standing on the top of the peak. He says, you know, you can fly, why stay here? So for the sake of the audience, I'll explain that this is very different than anything I've done before in visual experience, but he has taken me to the top of a mountain once and pushed me off the top because he needed to show me that in this existence, in this world, in the fairy realm, I can fly. I can turn into an eagle, or I don't know if I turned into an eagle. I turned into a big bird. Never really occurred to me what kind of bird was I. And so now he's repeating that lesson for your sake. And I guess for my sake, because he knows that by not telling you that, it's a bit deceiving. So I allow myself to fall, and I fall, and I'm not changing immediately. I'm falling through the air, and just as I'm nearing the water, I switch into a great winged creature. I'm not a bird. I would say I'm more like a dragon. And I'm flying, racing across the water, and he's flying next to me. And I can actually reach my foot, if that's what you call it, on the dragon down, and I can touch the water and I can feel the cold water. And he tells me, he says, you know, you can dive into the water. And honestly, that hadn't occurred to me. So let's dive in. Dive into the water. You're a powerful being. Matter doesn't really stand in your way. All that you perceive as real is but a dream, and the dream is controlled by, not just by your own desires and interests, but by the desires and interests of the entirety of living space. But the key to rising above that is to realize that You're not limited. The dragon can fly through the water. He can feel the water on his wings. And yet the water offers no resistance. And he can rise above the water and stop. And fold his wings in and stand in the air, a being of light, a being of energy. When you begin to realize that you are more, you are so much more, then your ability to interact with this world, to make this a beautiful place, your ability to touch a tree and bring it health, to touch a leaf or a blade of grass and make it shine luminescent, to make a flower glow. When you realize that these are things within you, it's slipping away. It's slipping away, Oberon. Oberon says to me, it's over. He says, it's over. Think about it. Understand, learn. It's just the beginning. And he fades. That was fun. And just as I'm nearing the water, I switch into a great winged creature. I'm not a bird. I would say I'm more like a dragon. And I'm flying, racing across the water. And he's flying. Okay, so now at this point, I'm actually flying above the water. I can feel the wind in my face. It's as if I'm there. The water's blue. And I can actually reach my foot, if that's what you call it, on the dragon down, and I can touch the water and I can feel the cold water. I think that was a talon that I was referring to. And he tells me, he says, you know, you can dive into the water. And honestly, that hadn't occurred to me. Okay, this is where the transition begins, where Oberon is talking and I'm flying, no longer really aware of the camera. So let's dive in. I dive into the water and I'm racing through the water. Dive into the water. You're a powerful being. I can see coral. I can see rock. I can see tropical fish. Matter doesn't really stand in your way. It's an amazing, I'm moving through the water effortlessly. All that you perceive as real is but a dream, and the dream is controlled by, not just by your own desires and interests, but by the desires and interests of the entirety of living space. But the key to rising above that is to realize that you're not limited. The dragon can fly through the water. He can feel the water on his wings.
In a moment, Oberon will say that I'm flying out of the water.
And yet the water offers no resistance.
I fly straight up in the air and fold my wings around me.
And he can rise above the water and stop.
And I'm hovering there now.
And fold his wings in
midair.
In the air. A being of light. A being of energy.
Now at this point, I'm just a glowing, bright, brilliant white ball of energy. And it's so intense that you could feel the heat coming off of me.
When you begin to realize that you are more, you are so much more.
And I feel myself as if I'm part of everything.
Then your ability to interact with this world, to make this a beautiful place, your ability to touch a tree.
Watch my hands here.
Bring it health.
No, I'm actually touching
to touch a leaf
in a
or
tree.
A blade of grass and make it shine luminescent. To make a flower glow. When you realize that these are things within you.
At this point, I'm transitioning back into myself.
It's slipping away. It's slipping away, Oberon. Oberon says to me, it's over. He says, it's over. Think about it. Understand, learn. It's just the beginning. And he fades. That was fun. One thing that, since starting creating the videotapes, that I was a little bit concerned about was that there was a lot of ground that I had covered in the years before I started videotaping, where it's written down in books, and I was concerned about how do I catch the audience up on that may see me on video, because they're never going to give me the same information the same way they did it the first time, and that was my concern. And I didn't want to try to story tell. I didn't want to try to say, well, this is what happened to me, this is how it happened, because I didn't think the experience would be the same. And so I was concerned for how would they relate the information, and how could I bring everyone back up, bring my audience and bring it up to the same speed as where I was when I was writing. And I think that message from Oberon did a great deal of bringing us up. So I thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the very best.